must remember that sailing these boats, it's the best sailors in the world. Even if they're young, for the youth, they've won world championships. So yeah, it's really a boat that's maybe a slightly easier to get into, but it's tricky nevertheless. And they're lower to the water with respect to their bigger AC5. And that means that the big waves in Barcelona were particularly tricky. We saw a lot of nosedives in these big waves, a lot of touchdowns when the conditions got rough, and it was really entertaining. It was really fun to watch. A lot of goggles coming off. They wear these goggles when they're sailing, and they just flew off because of all the water they would just plunge into.
So they are between 18 and 25 years old, but you already said they have won World Cups and Olympic Games. So that means that we probably will not see you on board of one of that.
Nah, definitely. Unless the podcast goes really well and then they invite us. And you must come, of course, as well. Not going without you, Theo.
And our followers, they don't know I'm
And
suffer from seasickness very badly.
welcome aboard, everyone. You're listening to Upandfoiling, the sailing podcast where we ride the highs and lows of the America's Cup and Sail GP. I'm Ricky, your sailing fan, and with me are my two co-hosts who are still figuring out which one is the mainsail and which one is the jib.
Hi guys, I am Theo, an old-time Formula 1 fan, and I'm just getting to know the world of sailboat racing, and hopefully by the end of the season I will get to know where the start box is.
And hi guys, I'm Big House, passionate about sailing on big and slow cruising yachts, but still wondering where these fast boats are flying. And I'm loving so much these races.
Together, we're here to chat about the most thrilling moments on the water, with zero technical jargon and 100% fun. So let's get up and foiling!
Alright.
This week,
Gender balance in the America's Cup.
we collect comments from the Facebook sailing fans.
Where is Big House? Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Upandfoiling, the sailing podcast. Hi Ricky, today we don't have Big House, but we promise he will be back. Hi Ricky, how are you doing?
Hi Theo, I'm doing great. We're ready
This
for
week-
all these tricky questions for
Yeah.
so
Very
today
difficult.
we're gonna dive into the youth and women's America's Cup. So a topic we haven't covered yet, but I'm looking forward to diving into it with you, Theo.
Yeah, you said very right at the moment. We had a couple of open topics we wanted to cover before we dive into the Sail GP topic.
Yeah,
And that's
let's go.
exactly the third edition of the Youth America's Cup and the first edition of the Women's America's Cup that took place in Barcelona in parallel with the main event.
Right.
So it's always a pleasure to see these young sailors fighting together, and also with this different format with respect to the America's Cup, that was very interesting to watch, right, Ricky?
Yeah, it was great to see finally some fleet racing. We've seen a lot of head-to-head in these match races of the main event of the America's Cup, but this wonderful addition of fleet racing to the event and on different boats, right? The AC40s, they're a little bit smaller, similar concept to the bigger boats, but without the cyclers. And yeah, very cool format, a lot of fleet racing, and then a final match race to win the title.
Yeah, so we were, before recording here, we were a little bit going through the teams that took part in this competition. And on one side of the table, we have the normal America's Cup team. And on the other side of the table, we have other nationalities team, among which, for example, we have Spain, the team from Barcelona, and also Sweden. I mean, I didn't know that these nationalities had any, any team ready to sail.
Yeah, indeed. We had quite a few entries. There was 12 teams in total, as you said, and 6 were not part of the main event. But it's good to see nations that used to be in the America's Cup and that are not in this cycle, but they're coming back to the Cup. And this is a great format to allow new groups to enter the America's Cup, not with a big event, but with a smaller one, to see how it all works out. And yeah, you mentioned the team from Sweden. They're a group called Artemis Racing, and they are famous because they've had quite a few America's Cup campaigns under their belt. And they last raced in 2017 in Bermuda. Another one is Australia. Australia has a huge history in the Cup. They were the first nation to finally beat the US and win the Cup from the US after more than 100 years. So Australia has a huge history in the Cup. And then we saw other teams like Germany, Canada, the Netherlands, and of course the home favorites, the Spanish team from Barcelona. How did the racing work, Theo?
Yeah, it's basically the format is these two different groups of 6 different teams, and the 3 best of each group would just access to the semifinals. Of course, the fleet racing work so that you get more points if you arrive first and less points if you arrive last. And then the best 3 would access to the semifinals, and then another fleet race, 4 fleet races. And then the best 2 would go to the final race, which was just one shot match. So of course we had 3 new nationalities in the semifinals, but in the end, in the final, the final itself was once again Italy against the US.
I think the teams that already had backing from the major team, like Lunarossa, for example, or American Magic, they had a bit of a head start, right? They already have a group of sailors that can teach them what to do, how to work with the boat, so they had more time on the water and a bigger team helping them in the campaign. So not surprising to see that in the final you had teams that are from the main event of the America's Cup. But it was also nice to see that the Spanish went through to the semifinals, like as home heroes. And yeah, in the end, who took the victory?
Yeah, luckily for us, Italy took the victory, of course. Lately, I personally am also very happy for what's happening into my favorite sport, which is Formula One. But yeah, once more, Italy won. Yeah, at least we can rejoice of this after the bitter America's Cup, the main event.
A few red cars winning the Formula One lately, right?
Yeah. So you have said that the boat is actually different. It's called AC40, yes, which is smaller.
Yes.
My question is, does this mean that it's also easier to, for example, steer it, or what's the technical term for it?
Yeah, so it is smaller, so the people on board, they're 4 and not 8, and you don't have the cyclers. So all the movement of the sail is done by battery, as well as the foil arms up and down, right? So whereas on the big boats, on the AC75, you have the cyclers pumping the oil pressure to move the mainsail and the jib and all the different controls and so on. Only the foil arm is moved by electric battery power. Here you have it all electric, so the sailors can focus 100% on steering the boat with the steering wheel, of course, and then changing the sails. Also the right height of the boat in the water, that's also automatically done by computer. It's a little bit less load on the sailors, less things to do. But it also means that everybody's a very fast learner, because everybody can get very, very good very quickly. And we must remember that sailing these boats, it's the best sailors in the world. They're at the top of their careers, even if they're young. For the youth, they've won world championships, and they're up to 25 years old. So they maybe have gone already to Olympics. So yeah, it's really a boat that's maybe slightly easier to get into, but it's tricky nevertheless. And another thing is they're lower with respect to the water, with respect to their bigger AC5. And that means that the big waves in Barcelona were particularly tricky. We saw a lot of nosedives in these big waves. A lot of touchdowns when the conditions got rough, and it was really entertaining. It was really fun to watch. a lot of goggles coming off. They wear these goggles when they're sailing, and they just flew off because of all the water they would just plunge into.
So you have anticipated one of my question about the young age of these sailors. So they are between 18 and 25 years old, but you already said they have won World Cups and Olympic Games. So that means that we probably will not see you on board of one of that.
Nah, definitely. Unless the podcast goes really well and then they invite us. They did that with another YouTuber, Mozzie Sails. He's also a sailor, and he's done lots of sailing videos, following him a lot. And he was invited on one of the boats, so who knows, maybe they'll invite us on. And you must come, of course, as well. Not going without you, Theo.
And our followers, they don't know I'm
And
suffer from seasickness very badly.
yeah, but here you're flying, so it's there's no contact with the waves, so don't worry, you wouldn't feel it. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that. Our fingers are crossed. Often these sailors start from a very young age, and they compete in the optimist class. And for example, the Helm of Italy is pretty famous now because he's won 3 times the World Championship of Optimist, and that's something really hard to achieve. And then Optimist is a really small boat for one person. And then usually you transition either to maybe a laser, that's also for one person, but it's already an Olympic class, 470, also Olympic class, or a 49er, or Nacra, maybe. So there's starting a boat, small, just to get learning. And then you transition onto this slightly bigger boats where you compete at Olympic level if you're really in the top.
And it's fun fact time with our segment, the sailing salt. The fact that you can sprinkle like salt on your sailing discussion. How the America's Cup was lost after 132 years.
The America's Cup was first lost by the Americans in 1983. After an uninterrupted 132-year winning streak that began in 1851. The historic defeat came at the hands of the Australian team. Their boat, Australia 2, has this mythical status because it introduced a revolutionary winged keel that enabled speed and maneuverability. This led to extensive protests by the Americans, but in the end, they brought the cup down under. So after 24 successful defenses, the New York Yacht Club streak ended with Australia 2, beating the boat from America that was called Liberty, and the series was a best of 7. So the series ended 4-3, so such a close series, with a comeback from Australia 2, being 3-1 down. This marked the first time that a non-American team claimed the America's Cup, making it one of the most celebrated upsets in sailing history.
And the second event that took place in Barcelona in parallel with the main America's Cup is the Women America's Cup, which was at his first edition, so brand new event, which was nevertheless very interesting. And the format is similar to the Youth America's Cup as far as I understood, but the teams is composed just by women, right, Ricky?
Yeah, it's a Women's America's Cup, of course. In an ideal future, it would be nice it have the same weight as the open class of the America's Cup. Or if we see the introduction of women in the main teams of the America's Cup, that would be also a very nice thing to see in the future. Hopefully it's the direction in which the sport is moving. At Olympic level, for example, we see the class of 470 that used to be men's and women's, but now it's a mixed class. So you have 2 sailors on board and it's 1 man and a woman. So yeah, it's a direction the sport is taking. It's great that we have this kind of events at the America's Cup. It was a great success.
Yeah, it could be an idea also for the main event indeed to, let's say, put a rule that states, for example, like my idea would be to have 2 cyclers which are women, 2 cyclers which are men, so basically performance is even, and then the helm is just decision of the team, because to be helm you don't really need physical strength or it doesn't come into the role of the helm to be strong. So I think helm can be regardless of the gender of the person, but maybe to have mixed team as well for the America's Cup would be a great, let's say, at least a great advertisement for these times that we are living now.
Yeah, you have all these roles that are duplicate on these boats. That's a very positive thing because you have, the two sides of the boat. So it may be really a great opportunity to make the sport gender balanced. And yeah, we must remember that there's all these female athletes that have competed at top levels. They've won multiple gold medals at the Olympics, and they're just ready to fill in this gap that there is at competition level in the America's Cup. But they've demonstrated that they're there and they're capable. Even the show was great. The racing was amazing. So it's really a great opportunity and a great direction for the sport. Like in SailGP, that's something that they've already started to introduce. So we already have one female on board every crew of SailGP. So that's already something that's starting to enter this top level of competition. So we hope to see more and more in the future.
So we were really daydreaming on what could happen in the future, and we almost forgot to say what happened actually in the Women America's Cup. We kind of forgot the result. Yeah, let's say it quickly. Like the final was. How could we? Like, what a mistake. So the final actually was again lunarossa against Great Britain. So the team is called Athena, right?
Pass wave. Yep.
Yeah. And this time you have to say the result.
Drum roll, please. And Italy won, of course, once again. They were probably looking at this result. They were the team that invested most in their youth and women's team, or really in the AC40 class in general. They probably invested a lot of time in training the sailors. They use also simulator quite a lot before going on the water, so probably a lot of hours spent in that too. And yeah, Italy won the first ever Women's America's Cup. So congrats to the whole team. It was a great result, but also a great success for GBR having a team in the final.
Yeah, definitely. Something you have really worked on last week is to collect opinions on Facebook, I have heard, before the recordings. So we kind of got some feedback from other viewers of the America's Cup and these other two parallel events. What I would like to highlight is that everybody was saying that the flags on the boats were too small and they could not recognize the different boats.
Yeah. When you're looking at 6 different boats racing in fleet racing, yeah, they were a bit small to see. Something they can improve for sure. But they've worked a lot on graphics, right, across the whole event.
Yeah. And something else that was mentioned also, like as a possibility, of course, is to introduce like a sort of a war series in the year previous the America's Cup, of course, with, 6 or 7 events. The problem, of course, it was also highlighted by the user that commented that this competition would, of course, be in parallel with the SailGP, so yeah, would not be optimal maybe for the sponsors and also for the teams. But yeah, maybe that's also a chance to kind of ignite the hype for the America's Cup.
Yeah, this was a comment from our friend Michele. And yeah, thank you all for your comments. Please keep them coming because it's great for us to give us points for discussing. And yeah, World Series, it's something they've done in the past with the America's Cup. What I feel usually is that it lacks a bit of scope because teams have to show up to these events. They had one for this America's Cup cycle in Jeddah, for example. And it feels like a little bit fake, or, you don't win anything if you win the event, because in the end, all the time and resources go into winning the America's Cup. So it feels like, they should have a system where it has more consequence, right? Maybe if you win the World Series, then you have an advantage in the America's Cup event. This would be something that makes teams like take the World Series seriously. And so yeah, this is maybe a way to go. So to have more consequence, right, for these events, and hopefully then they can have a good calendar with the SailGP, and we all get to enjoy both the AC40s racing on the water and the SailGP as a whole competition all year long. So yeah, what a wonderful year that would be. A lot of podcasting for us to do, Theo.
And that's a wrap. SailGP is just around the corner, and we are really ready to comment it together.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing more women introduced in the sport in this top level with lots of great racing. So join back in next time as we transition from the America's Cup to SailGP.
All right. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast or YouTube, and please comment to let us know which topic you would like to be covered more in our podcast.